early life, she had to encounter a condition called osteogenesis imperfecta, and she's been living with it. At the same time, she is a hope to the whole world because, yes, with all the abilities, if we are disabled in one way or the other, with all the difficulties, she is able. Welcome to the show, Dhanya.
Thank you, Chris. It's such a great honor. In fact, I was so surprised and was feeling so grateful that I got another evening to spend with you through an interaction.
First of all, uh, the main idea of you speaking to people about your condition or the disability is what the people say. I would say you talk about your ability, your diehard attitude. You really take people to another level to really believe that, yes, if I can do it, I will. That's the concept probably I get from what you're doing. And I want you to know on stage when you're communicating with thousands or millions of people around the world through YouTube or on live occasions, on different speeches, what is your feeling when you are on stage?
That so the world kind of sees me as a very strong woman, but addressing thousands of people and hundreds of audience is not an easy part. Every stage, every space is something very new. So each time I go onto a session or maybe any event, my only thought is if one person have a beautiful takeaway from it, and that's where succeeded. So that's one of the things that I look out for, and the inner me is always like very nervous because the youth these days or the seniors these days are very different. So, but it's always very curious to be among them. So it is in a very thin line that we are here to share something and for a beautiful purpose. So it has to be taken out gracefully. So it's a mindset of joy, fear, and gratitude.
That's beautiful. Now, in your case, you have encountered more than 200 fractures, more than 200 fractures, I would say. 200 fractures, we just have 206 bones. So, malleus incus stapes on the ear, probably,
Yeah,
except that, everything else has been at least once broken. So,
yeah.
the kind of pain you have lived, I would say nobody else would have. So, what do you have to tell the younger generation? I'm seeing the abled world, as they call it, the abled world, who have lot more complaints than satisfaction that they are alive this day.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was just having this conversation with one of my friend yesterday that we all live in an abundant world, and one of my very friend who was a psychologist herself had just left her life last week. Were like a very dear friend of mine. So it was
Mhm.
quite shocking to see how fragile people are today in these days. Although we say about empowerment and all those words as such strength. So for me, I really believe that I am a person who's not just gone through a physical pain. Actually, living in this world with all set of stigmas and discriminative mindset and all of that, there is a lot of pain in that emotional level also, which I have gone through. But each time when I just see myself on the mirror, I just see those that I always believe in this affirmation that I'm a beautiful child of divine and I allow myself to be that beauty. So it gives me a strength and also an inner source of a message that there is a power within us who's like which is divinely connected and guided. And I think it is extremely important each of us know that we all have some sort of inner potential or inner power within us. And when we live in an abundant world in many ways, it's important that we honor this part of us within and create contribute in a very large way that it requires to those who actually doesn't know what life is. So there is this simple thing, right? Like, I live in a community where I see a different persons with disability who comes from different family background. And the similar way there is this able world we so call, and that also has a many classifications that we see. But I think when we just look at it as a whole, it is a human system that is performing there. And I think these kind of classifications help us believe in our potential, and we should not take it for granted. And there is a lot that we can give back to the society that is carving for.
Danyaji, on that note, could you define love for us? You decode disability. I want you to define life.
Life in itself is priceless. So if you just rightly told me that, the number of bone fractures that I went through, and the number of bones that we as a human have in a system, you actually know how. I really know the importance of each organ in our self. Like I see, like today we all have a very different routine of going to the bed at the wrong time, not prioritizing exercise, or just not honoring your own self. And there is a people with you who's actually looking on to you. And so I feel it is just that all of us, for a minute, or we are just not understanding how valuable our life is, and how valuable we could be to ourselves and to others. So I really believe in this willpower and also the willingness. So I think I always say that how much ever I come and preach, or anyone comes and say, hey, you know what, I done this, if I could do it, why don't you? No, there is nothing required to compare, but you yourself is like an inspiration. And once you just overcome that, I think life in itself is a beautiful gift. So it's extremely important. Each of us each day carry a book within us, and just talk about the good things that happen, and see how things will be changing over the time. Like I'm sure, like the kind of newsletter quotes every day when you message. There are days like when I go off and I wake up. Maybe when I see that, I see how someone made me smile on that day, and that is something beautiful in that. So life for me is a very precious and priceless one, and I really wish and hope each of us, know that value. What we need to, pray for our own self, and also like stay committed for our family and society.
You have psychogenesis perfecta because your mindset is perfect. But at times, I'm sure the excruciating pain you have suffered all through your life, all these things, the pain index is something beyond what any human can really bear. What would you say the mindset should be to take life every day? Because you have lived each day of your life in a really different path, which can actually guide everyone in the abled world, including me. I take inspiration from you.
Yeah. So like just like how I just like to call back from where I stopped myself, right? Like, so for me, I really believe like even I as a person, when I go through distress or sadness or traumas or dealing with all of these emotions, so what has helped me is like this one thought. Like I've always like this is the one thing which, as a young girl, when I always felt a lot of stigmas and discrimination that I faced as an young girl. This is one thing that has, helped me to become who I am today. So I really believe that we as a person, or the human system, as such, this life in itself, This is the only thing which is not in our control. When I say which is not in our control, um, I really kind to say that uh, the last breath is something that we can't take it. But until the last breath, it is something that it is our choices, that like how we live with it. So again, when I am a person who lacked certain medicines and all of that, the time when I really required, when the medicine itself is not available, and now when I look right now with the healthcare sector, I see there's like lot of healing modalities and lot of methods to heal. And beyond that, any medicine, it's always people be there for each other. So I feel it's very important that we prioritize having good friends within us, and beyond all that, having the small commitment that my life matters and I need to take care of it. So this one thought is more than enough to actually overcome any physical or emotional challenges, I believe. So it's even not about overcoming, but it is at least to face the challenge in itself.
That's a beautiful thought. At the same time, Snehaji, what a person can do on a able world, you have gone beyond that. Now, currently, you're working as an executive. Before that, you were a freelance writer. All these things which you're doing, you've won awards nationally and internationally, and different levels you have been honored. And the whole idea of a rewarding moment, every person in the able world looks for a citation, a kind of an award, a reward, all these things. And in your case, you have been already bestowed with a lot of awards. What would you call the most rewarding moment? Because I saw one of the posts once about swimming, which you were actually venturing into. So, do you call such sweet, gentle, tender moments of life rewarding, or is it the recognition what the people give?
It's absolutely these travel memories, or the kind of small little things that matters for me. So I really believe that in our current career path, in a personal and professional life, these awards and whatever the professional skills that we carry is to make the best out of our life, and also to give to the next generation a legacy out of it. So that is one side of it. So for me personally, awards or any honors is a moment where I feel, hey, this is one thing which will help me to spread more awareness to those which who never heard about what we really want to convey, or maybe the possibilities of life. That is one thing every time I get a honor or a award I think of. But what is really a reward for me is about having this beautiful friends with me, who actually together experience life in all ways, I would say. So for me, I was just saying that beyond any of these honors, what I carry with me will be the memories that I've created with the people. It's good and bad, and I like to always like to count about my blessings.
Beautiful. Now, reaching the 15th minute mark, I really thank Sparkle V, Toastmasters Kabir, Saumya Santosh, Anu Kurian, Semi Kabir, and my mother, Bhagyalakshmi, VH, Anjana, Varsha, Anita Biju, Rachel Lacey, Suraj Krishnan, Dr. Santosh Rajgopal, Mustafa Amin, Kumudini, Ani, Roshni, Kanimuri, Hari Avinash, and Ambali Sajivan, and all those who have had to drop out for some reason or the other. And moving on, when you're looking at the gifting people with the mechanized, or do you call the motorized wheelchairs, you have done your best part. Now, taking into consideration of what we see the world nationally or internationally, the facilities given to such differently able people, having what's say wheelchair friendly spaces. How far do you think we have to go ahead? Have we reached a point where we can say that yes, we have that facility where every walk of life or every piece of our nation we have so much, we have achieved so much. How far are we from that?
So that's a very, very long way. And I think India is a progressive country. And I will not say we have reached in that way. And I can't just even think that we have reached. It's never that privileged. And that's where I say that when we all come together, I think empowerment or economic independence in our mindsets, for the first thing that has to be moved out is like, it isn't it a charity, it's a fundamental right and a smart investment. So that's where I believe in, and our collective efforts can make a better future. So for me, when I look at it, I would say that out of five, I think around 2%, yes, we have reached, and still there is a long way to go. Firstly, it starts with the mindset, and a lot of it, Chris. I think um, it just starts from the birth, a family, parenting, inclusive education, inclusive workplace, the mindset of people. There is a lot that has to still be changed. I would say that as a woman with disability, the kind of stigmas that I've gone through as in the past has just come down. But I will not say this. I would say that it still exists in our country in many many ways, and especially in a culture like India, I think it's even more. So I think it's a collective efforts, but I'm happy to see like some of them are able to stand for themselves and work on it, but not everybody is out there in that way. And I think that is where we all can play the tiny roles.
Now, when we are talking about, when we are defining what this talk show would be, we were talking about disability. But I would say the inclusive nature needs to change. It needs to include with an open heart. When we are looking at empowering people, it is not the differently abled who need the motivation. It's the motivation needed for the abled world who need to understand that, yes, they are bestowed with some kind of blessing, and now let's share the blessing. So, to the abled world, if you are to decode disability, that was your topic for one of your TEDx. So, what would you really address the abled world, and what would you tell them as a person who have outlived or overcome to a maximum extent all this pain and suffering of being differently able?
So I feel like we say, right, like more than anything for us, what has been, um, get printed within us is always the experience in life. So for me, I really would say that for this able world, they are the people who need to come down and try being friends with different communities. It can be trans, it can be a group of women, or it can be persons with disability, and there's a lot of classification that goes by. I think for each of us, only when we get into something that we never gone through, that's where it's through the experience we learn what is more being inclusive. So ideally for me, I've always believed any person, like they learn the best out of it, either when the person in itself has some experience, or the person has to get along with another person who's totally different, so that they know what is a world like in the other side of it. So I would say that I just a simple thing that how many of us today go out with a person with disability, or with another different community of person, to a movie or to a saloon, or even for a coffee. Like most of us have our own group of the able friends who go out for all this, and they just don't even know what accessibility really means until and unless they see a world out there. So I would say that we just have this, our knowledge is always based on what we read. There is a saying. So beyond that, we doesn't know what it is. So I would say that just go out of your comfort zone and see the world, experience it, And that's where each of us know what is that biggest gift that we have, and what is that we can contribute to make it even more better within us.
There was once a statement by Abraham Lincoln that I cried for a pair of shoes until I saw a man without legs. So,
Yeah.
that aspect, probably, how can we bring about that change where the abled and differently abled world somehow converge at a point? We don't have an inclusive cinema hall where probably a person can roll a wheelchair inside, or probably we don't have theaters where the stage show or a play can be easily enjoyed by a person on a normal or a mechanized wheelchair, or even at a time when there is a huge rift between the abled and differently abled. How can we start bridging that?
So, like I just said, we are in the progressive phase, and how quickly we need to be there is in our hands. So, when each of us come up with the thought, like, when today, when you go out for a coffee, you have a friend with disability with you, it actually makes a change over there, either through you or through the person, and even through the coffee shop that you be there. So multiple times I have faced this, that maybe the first time when I go, the place in itself is not inclusive, and the people out over there doesn't know. I There's a very funny thing that yeah, the people out there itself doesn't know how to handle the situation. And the next time when I go to the same coffee shop, the behavior changes with the person over there who sells the coffee. He comes with a very different mindset. Yeah, he become more comfortable with me. He was the same person he was before. So ideally, the changes progression happens there. That is one, and two. I think government have been playing their own role, but we can still play our own role. Like I always believe this: if 10 people from a colony or from a residential area come forward and mark down some 5 or 10 stores in their area and make it accessible, that is where the change happens. So it's not really, and making that small promises within, like today maybe I'll buy the bags, or maybe I buy certain things from a person with disability who come from a different background, maybe I'll shop from them. So it's an empowerment or a livelihood opportunity that you create, and they become the champions and value systems there that we kind of build. And maybe as a thought leaders, creating inclusive workplace culture through adversity. I think it depends on every one of us if we can make an inclusive nature. It's not necessary we have to be a CEO or anything, but we, even from the small age, from a boy we can teach, or a girl we can teach how to be compassionate, and what disability means, or the different emotions, or about invisible disability. There are a lot of it. So it's about we kind of preparing our world how to be more compassionate and empathy, building more trust and understanding the other person opposite to us.
Do you feel that the abled world is missing that heart and that's their disability?
Of course, to some extent.
When it comes to one of your interviews where you said when you used to visit the hospital, the doctors come and take selfie and people think that you are on a vacation. It was a very lighter note, but a very deep thought where at least that inclusiveness or that compassion is there on the medical field. How far do you think, let's say a place like Bangalore, it's more cosmopolitan. Do you think the same was your experience when you traveled to other parts of India or other parts of the world?
Not really, but yeah, that's again like maybe if I go to city life, city place, yes, the people's mindset are different. But when I go to a village, the mindsets are different. But still, I think there is this innocence. I think the moment when each as a human we lose the innocence within us, that's where we fail to become empathetic, or to be more compassionate, or see a different person. So the more we carry our innocence and have just to fine tune ourselves in itself a nature about we respect each person the way they are. I think we don't have to even think whether we are in a cafe or a hospital or any set of departments like that.
Hmm. When I came to meet you with my friends, I came with Srijesh and Vismaya and a few friends of mine, Srijit, and we met at a hotel. And that moment, the kind of exuberance you had to go to the stage and spend those few golden moments with us, that exuberance, I really feel the able world is missing on it. What's the secret behind
Maybe because I met you that day.
it? But I really feel everyone, if you ask, how are you? Everyone starts with a statement, oh, my life is like so bad. This, that, this fight happened, that thing happened, and I'm so stressed and all that. But the exuberance I saw in you, I really wanted to at least take a drop and distribute to the world so that the world is a better place.
Yeah, like I think it's not something that is there in me that came in an overnight. No, there is a part of me which has worked really, really hard from years to keep up myself in a better shape. So it's always a commitment that I kind of try to keep up with me. But yes, I still fail to be a better person, carry a lot of positiveness at times. But a part of me has become who I am is just because of this small commitment that I shouldn't give up on certain things. Rather, I believe in trying.
Yeah, before we open up to the audience, I want to inform the audience that you can raise your virtual hand and yes, interact with Dhanyaji herself. I would like to welcome Dhana Madhav and Priya Matthew also. And now, one thing I find in this whole world is the understanding or the difference in understanding. Now, when it comes to Dhanyaji, I want to know what your dream is all about.
Of course, my dream is to have a rare disease free country, which is a long way. So, if there is a reason why I'm being very vulnerable and open to the society, it is to bring in more awareness among all of us. The importance of honoring our own life, making genetic test mandatory. So, I think many of us carry to, just don't have the courage to do a genetic test. So, I would say that each of us should start doing a genetic test so that you know what is all about you, and it is also helping a nature and a society and the fellow youth of our country in a very easy way of living and lifestyle. So for me it is about early interventions for persons with disability should become a mandatory to all caste creed families and also a rare disease free India.
You have spoken about seven, the rare diseases, of which osteogenesis imperfecta is also one, which you have, and it's a type 3, which you say it makes you one in more than a lakh. But I would say you are one in a million because your words really inspire each and every person who is listening to it. Audience, now you can raise your hands. The halfway mark is here. You can interact with Danyaji herself and talk to her. And this interaction, I believe that's once in a lifetime for me because the kind of thoughts I have now from your words, I wanted to become a huge tree so that it gives shade to a lot of people who really come into this world. And the dream of having a disability free world, I would say the able world at least should start having that heart who understand the pain or understand the difficulty when the other side is being really deprived of even friendship. Have you ever felt like the able world is showing a reluctance due to some specific reasons? Do you believe, are there any specific reasons why the able world is behaving like that?
One is the privilege that we own these days. People take things for granted.
Hmm.
And secondly, I feel like, there is a part of us in the society which has been giving respect to the people, understanding the value of each things in our life. But there's a larger people who actually doesn't value certain things in our life. So I think these are one of the primary reasons, which hits there.
Now, your writing part, your freelance writing part, and the literary world, what really inspires you? What kind of books or what kind of writing can inspire a person to move ahead? Because we don't have a specific guideline. Anyone can read anything, but what inspires you the most?
So for me, I love reading any real stories. More than self books, I kind of get inspired by reading real stories and maybe some beautiful narrations as well. Something that touches me for some of these genres.
On a specific note, I wanted to get your review on my book.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the kind of curiosity what you bring in you as a person and in your books, that keeps you really high. I think that's the winning of your journey. Like the way of you kind of speak to the children, the way of you carry all these stories are just about those curiosity, and that innocence is lost largely in our society. So I think it is these kind of books and the people that brings back that little joy.
I would take this as a Nobel Prize for me for literature now. Yeah, and dear listeners, yes, you can raise your virtual hand, and yes, I can bring you upstage, and you can talk directly with Danya ji. Pose your questions or your feedback, or whatever you want to share with Danya ji. That is possible. Now, coming back to Danya ji, there was a time when doctors really gave up. Now, why do you think we have to give up? Is there a reason why we should give up? Any point in time?
So for me, my own personal journey, it starts like the during my time of birth. The medicine itself is basically doctors doesn't know what is osteogenesis imperfecta. So it took around 3 months for the doctors to really understand what is the difference in me and why am I crying so much. So coming from there, I think it is a lack of awareness and the facilities back then which was not available, and also the lack of awareness within my family and my parent, because they really doesn't know. I think when a child with disability is born in a family, or a person with acute disability be in a family, I think the lot of it changes emotionally, physically, the lifestyle, our financial strength, lot of it changes from there. So one of the reasons for me was not able to get the kind of medicines that was required at the right point in time was due to lack of awareness. And now when I look at the generation right now, yes, there are couple of medicines that is available for different rare diseases, but the reality is that it charges crores of rupees, where some has to be imported from different other countries. It's a pain over there. So I think giving up. So I was just reading this note yesterday that there is two nurses from Delhi where they had three children with disability, and they were looking for mercy killing, because both the two parent has to be at home to take care of the child, and the cost required for the treatment is beyond the control, even after pledging their properties and all of that, and all they could look out for was a mercy killing to the entire family. So it's a hard space and big reality. But yes, it's just not money. Like I said, there is much beyond those tiny little memories that we can create, and also sharing awareness plays a big role.
So, more than sharing awareness, more than say the inclusiveness, what needs to be shown, you have. done a homeschooling part, and when it comes to the normal world, are they aware of the children as such? How can we give them that awareness?
uh, Through volunteering, I would say volunteering is one of the beautiful movement that we all can bring in together. It's very important that we as a college students or as a junior students be trained to volunteer for different causes, and that's when we get to know about the different conditions, and also maybe some of their strength can act positively to the other beneficiary. So volunteering is one. I still remember when I went to a government college and a very popular government institute in the town in Kerala for the students between 10 and 12. When I asked them, do you know what volunteering means? All of the students said no, they are hearing the word itself for the first time, though they are 16 to 18 years. So I think this is where we all need to mark upon, giving, making our time more productive and also meaningful.
But when it comes to volunteering, and if, say, a youngster, he goes to I mean, his or her parent and says that I'm going for volunteering, or even when you approach a teacher saying that I want to do volunteering, they would look at it as escaping studies. So, how to beat that? Because I've seen that happen in many places where even if they have a mind to volunteer for a cause, they say, oh, you want to shirk studies? That's why you're doing that. So, how do we change that?
So that again is a lack of awareness, right? So today we have a proper academic courses for volunteering, and there it is some of these volunteers who have made big movement in a country, and the change has happened through them. So I know many of us, I know the even young girls or boys who done MSW, they come and say, oh, you're going for a social work, are you just going to do something like this, what are you going to gain out of it? So I think in every the reality is this, where I see that in any career that you start, on the first day or second day you don't be there in a very high profile. It is what you create out of it. So once if you have a good mentor in your life and know where your volunteering skills are contributed and how rightly it goes, I think this thought should itself won't be valued anymore.
Right. We have Madhavan, my dear friend. He's here on the stage. And Madhavan, yes, you can interact with Danyaji.
Yeah. Chris, thank you so much for this
You're
wonderful
welcome.
conversation and bringing Danya into this. Thank you so much, Danya. You are so humble the way you speak. Like Chris said, even if I just want to take one drop of your humility, that is great for me. So that's how I see this conversation. And yeah, maybe whoever is attending, we are all um, getting some awareness on this. Maybe we can take it forward and do a little, at least in our life. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you so much. It means a lot, and I think I don't know if you were there. I was just telling Chris that when I come to any session or any event, if at least one person knows something new through us, I think that's where I feel okay. The session was successful, and I'm glad there is something new that you had today. Today,
I'm sure wherever you go, you are going to spread a huge amount of awareness, and you are going to make cascading the effect and making somebody's life definitely a worthwhile change. That is for sure. Thank you so much.
thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Madhavan. And when it comes to the youngsters or teenagers volunteering, you had especially mentioned about volunteering. Now, there is another aspect to it. There is a hard phase of old age. For a lot of people, the geriatric care is so low in India as such because we have geriatric centers outside in other countries. But when it comes to differently abled geriatric care, the difficulty level is more. What is your view on that?
So that's where like we just spoke early that the focus on this healthcare um, is just not there. So I think right now I see that down the 1 to 2 years, things have been changing a little bit. Like I remember a past of us who were really struggling to understand what after us. I mean, what after parent, how the life is going to be for a child with disability. And that's where that point in time it was just this orphanage or a Cheshire room or any such thoughts that used to come into the mindset. But now I feel from there a small shift has come, like in terms of assistive living homes which has been in the sector. And this is going to help a lot of persons with cognate disabilities, to drive their life more in a very beautiful way. But still, it's a very slow progression that has been there. It's not as how it has been for elders, like you rightly spoke. So I think when I look at in our own Kerala, how many hospice center do we have? It runs in more of a different methods, and the way how we see a person in itself comes with a patient view rather than accepting it in a gracefully in the early aging aspect. So it's a mindset that has to be worked on, but I really feel there is a small set of progression that has been working in our country.
Right. In the meanwhile, I'd like to welcome Shiba Nazar and Shibu Iti and Kumudini. And I want to inform the listeners, yes, you can raise your virtual hand and I can bring you up stage to interact with Danyaji herself. Danyaji, there are moments of lighter side, the art and cinema, or maybe reading, or other kinds of entertainment. What are your choices?
I think all of them. What do you call now?
So probably we would like to have the top 4 or 5 from you. What you like the most?
I love watching movies, and reading is my favorite. But a part of me sometimes I lose my patience. So, but yeah, that's a space that even I'm trying to work on. But yeah, I really love music and movies. I think that keeps me alive.
Right. We have Fanaki Andrea. She's a habit coach and a daily uh, voice coach and voice gym presenter, one of my master trainers herself. Fanaki, the stage is all yours.
Hi,
Thank
Funaki.
you so much. Hello, Dania. How are you?
So before you
I am
ask
so
me any
inspired
question,
by you.
Funaki, I think I'm going to stop you for a minute. Before you ask me a question, what does your name means?
Wow. Well, my name means the one who people accept. Like, yeah, the one who people accept from. I'm from Madagascar, by the way. And you are so inspiring. And it's like for me, disability is not something we see from the outside, but from the inside. Like, for example, not being able to love is a disability. Not being able to chase your dream is a disability. Not being able to enjoy life to the fullest is a disability. So it's like you are really inspiring. And I have a question. What is some misconception that people think about disability, and how do you hope to inspire others to see beyond that limitations of people with disabilities?
Yes, so I think like one of the strange thing is again like I just touched upon. It's a mindset. So when you see, I can see like so many of friends, even my own lived experience, right? Like it's always people tend to judge a person based on that book. That they kind of value the book based on the cover. That's the way it is to some extent. So I think idly, the way how a person see another person is something that has to be changed within all of us. I personally have faced a lot of challenges where people see my height and they kind of judge in a different way, or I can't perform certain things, or maybe another person who has a stammering, they come up and say that he or she cannot speak and we shouldn't make them talk. But maybe they are the best speakers in the world. And there's another incident. If a person is on the wheelchair, they kind of label each of us in a different way, that this is what they can do and this is what they cannot do. But I think it is not it is none of these that actually makes a person or creates an identity. It is something else that builds an identity of each of us. So I think more like I would just say that it's Dania as such or Fanaki as such are being known for what they are becoming, and not based on what the kind of appearance or all these matters, but not in a very large way. So I think it's a mindset that has to be worked upon.
Wow, that's right. And one thing I want to mention is in the country where I am in, we don't say people with disabilities, we say people with determination, people of determination, because they are determined to change their lives and to live despite everything. Just want to mention that. So I think I will say you are a people of determination, Dania, and thank you so much for inspiring people.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Lovely talking
Fanaki.
to you.
Thank you, Fanaki. And now we have Kabir. Yes, Kabir, the stage is all yours. He's my mentor, and he's an entrepreneur himself, and he's a specialist in scaling.
Thank you, Chris. Hi, Danya. Uh,
Hi.
Thanks for the inspiring words. So, in the childhood, I also had a challenge where I couldn't walk, uh, and luckily I came out of it. But I was having polio. Uh, at the same time, three of my neighbors too, and I couldn't walk for some time. So I know the some part of the challenges, and some part of my childhood I still remember. And cold comes again, I couldn't walk. But thanks for that inspiration. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Kabir. I think you have a wonderful profile, just like how we spoke. It's just not it's none of this that keeps brings our identity. It is always something else, and I think we should stop looking there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kabir. And we have Dr. Santosh Rajgopal from the World Health Organization. Santoshi, the stage is all yours.
Yeah, good evening, Danyaji. Good evening, Chris. I joined 5 6 minutes late, so I don't know whether I missed something which I wanted to hear. So I think, I mean, you're probably tired of hearing this that you are an inspiration, but I couldn't help because I also work with children with developmental challenges on the weekends, mainly neurodevelopmental challenges like autism, hyperactivity, and all that. Although we do see a fair share of children with physical challenges, including cerebral palsy and all that. And there's no question. Just wanted to just want to agree with you because I've struggled to get children admitted who are intelligent, who could answer questions properly, and who are actually having good IQ. In spite of that, they couldn't get admission in quote unquote normal schools because they had a spastic hand and they couldn't write properly. So we struggle all the time to get children into no, normal, so-called normal schools, or even in special schools. So I completely agree with this zeal with which you are pursuing your cause, and also regarding screening. So nowadays, technically, logistically, screening has become simpler. We can do genetic screening, for a whole host of diseases. Whereas previously, you used to have different tests for different entities. But of course, cost is the limiting factor. So I think I just read about your zeal for the genetic screening also. We do have, just wanted to inform you, probably you know already, but I wanted to inform all the other guests also that in Kerala also we have a primary rudimentary screening program for defects in during, immediately after birth. We screen for only a few number of diseases, disorders, whatever you want to call them. But probably we should expand that and go in for more and more screening so that children can have better chance of survival, without any sequelae. So yeah, so I agree with all your points, Anzil, and so such a pleasure listening to you. I have no questions to ask, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Santosh. I think it's very nice to hear someone who's echoing with what we were saying, and thanks a lot. And more power to you to heal more people around the world.
Thank you, Danya. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Santosh. And now we have Anjana Jayagiri. Anjana, the stage is all yours.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Hello, Danya.
Thanks, Ram.
And yeah, I would like to ask that in this current world, that the able and disabled kind of thing, that is, people are finding complaints for simple manners and simple things in the day-to-day life activities. So, can you say something regarding that? Because how you watch, or how you want to say about this one?
Thank you so much, Anjana. So, I really feel that's where the parenting plays a huge role. I think if the youngsters in the 20s and 30s come up with these kind of thoughts, I think it's hardly because they've just not touched upon the real people's lives. So, that's where I was just, I don't know whether you were there before we were talking about the importance of volunteering when
Yeah,
each of us when we train from a child itself about volunteering, I think they start to see the world how it is in a better shape, like we because we stay in a very abundant world and also in a very nuclear family. I think this is one of the reason where we are not able to take stress within us, or we find it very painful. So the more experience you gain in life, that's where you become stronger, and that's something what my life has taught me.
yeah, thank you so much. At least I had a chance to talk to you. So I'm
That,
considering that it's a very valuable time that I'm talking and hearing from you. Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Danya.
thank you.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome. Thank you very much. And now we have Soumya Santosh, Academic Head, Pikeri School. And the stage is all yours, Soumya.
Thank you. And it's I love it. I take it as a pride to be on my elder brother's show. So I always make it a point to come on stage just to appreciate him, and especially Danya. I love your voice. I came only to say that I love your voice. It's so sweet and tender and childlike. I feel I'm talking to all my kids in my school. So sweet. So just to tell that, remaining everything. You are an inspiration, a motivation to many. You touch everybody's hearts. Yeah, that's all there. But somehow I am a fan of your voice. So
Thank you, Soumya. Thank you so much. I firstly like to thank all of you for coming over and sharing a few thoughts or making me reflect more on my own journey, which I never thought. Like generally, people have a lot of questions when we see a film star and real celebrity figures out there, and but it is beautiful to know at least like some of you have some few questions, and it's even more grateful to hear you come up and say like these things, and it matters a lot. Thank you, Soumya.
thank you. I'm so happy.
Thank you very much, Soumya. And on that note, the sweetness of the voice, really, I feel, being a voice coach, I really feel that the sweetness of the voice comes from the heart. Because if you keep inside all the kind of malice, all the kind of hate, all the kind of the negativity inside, probably your voice also starts reflecting it. And I'm sure your heart is made of pure gold and has not even one single fracture. In spite of the 200 fractures on the bone, I feel that your heart has no fractures, and it's the most beautiful heart we have seen on the series of talk. And really, I'm happy that I could listen to you for this whole hour. We are on the fag end of the 5 minutes of our show, and I'm really honored. Really, I want to let the world know that there is a secret behind that sweet voice, and that's the goodness in the heart. How do you keep up that goodness in the heart in spite of all the hardships you have faced?
I think it's a love that I carry within me.
Very true, very true. And there is still a chance for the listeners to come on stage and interact with Tanya. And before we move on to the last question, if at all there is a person who wants to ask or share a feedback, Tanya, your parting notes on today's show, your reflection, your perceptions, and something which you want to add on to what we have spoken the whole night.
So just before I kind of just put that note there, I'd like to ask you a question, Chris. What keeps you this young? How do you do that?
I really am young. At the same time, I really feel that uh, when I hear people from different walks of life, uh, looking back into my radio life or my media life or my education times, every bit of it, I've seen people who overcame a lot of difficulties with a smile, and they inspire me, starting from probably my early school days where I've seen differently abled children. When I've been in college, yes, we have had differently abled students who have been with us and who never ever stopped. There was a particular interview which I'll never forget in my lifetime during my radio days. It was a boy called Kutti who lost his leg in a bus accident, and the only dream he had was to act in a movie. And on his life, a movie was made, and the movie was called Kutti. And after about 2-3 years, he passed away. But still, that dream he could live. So, uh, be it the world leaders, be it the inspirational people, be it doctors, be it people from different walks of life, what keeps me going is that, yes, there is so much to learn. And today I'm sure that I've learned so much about life, so much about carrying love in the heart, which makes the voice sweet, so much about inclusive nature, which we need to build, so much about adding that element of heart to ourselves. The so-called, we take pride and say that we are abled, but as Funaki said, we are all disabled with a heart. We need that ability to really love and carry that heart forward. Probably Kabir, myself, Semi, and all my team of voice artists, we are trying to bring in that sweetness to our voice, probably make our heart a little more better, and talk to the world and say that yes, there is a possibility, there is an ability within yourself to carry that love and carry that really special place for everyone in this world, which will make the world more inclusive, the world more lively, and probably more pink, as we say, for health. And you have really inspired me. This 1 hour which we have spent, I'm sure that I'm taking a huge lesson with me. So it is not just one more person has taken a lot from you today.
Thank you so much, Chris. I think it's always beautiful to just listen to you and the words that you conveyed something very beautiful. Thank you so much. I think I don't want to be any Mataji here with any advice. Rather, I would just say that believe in yourself. Your life matters, and it really matters to all those people around you. Keep spreading lots of love and humility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Danya. And just seriously voicing thoughts with me, Kriss Venugopal, every Thursday, 9:30 p.m. Next week, we'll have another person. But Danya ji, I really feel that we have a lot more to talk. And given a chance, I would want you to come again after probably more speeches and meeting more people, and at least one more step ahead in your path of dreams, where the world is more inclusive towards the differently abled or people with determination. I really thank you for this 1 hour, the golden 1 hour. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Anytime.
So, good night, everyone. This is me, Chris, signing off from Just Seriously Voicing Thoughts.